Happy Darkest Day!
Yay,
Yay!
darkness!
It's the shortest
roll a
day of the
D6.
year. Oh, we're rolling D6? All right.
Yeah.
Somebody, I don't have dice in
I
front
have
of
an
me.
actual D6 right in front of me.
Okay.
There we go.
I got a
4.
6.
4.
Oh, the 10-eyed oracle appears.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
All right. All
So keep that in mind. We're gonna go through our normal intro and then we're gonna pick up with this. So we're the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. I'm Jay, joined with my co-hosts Christopher, Christian, and Dan. Say hi, guys.
Guys.
Hello there.
One day you'll do it the right way, and I'll do it the right way to follow up that.
That's the day that the podcast ends.
Yeah.
Yep. That one
No!
day. Can't wait, guys.
Yeah, the final day, final judgment day. Hey, Christian, where can they find us on social medias?
You can find the Grumpy Dungeon Masters podcast on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. You can also find it on YouTube. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can find various members of the Grumpy Dungeon Masters streaming on Twitch TV. Right now, they're doing an honor mode run through Baldur's Gate 3. And after the holidays, look forward to the return of Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher's 5e D&D campaign, Waterdeep Worldborn Dead.
Yeah. It's looking more like it's going to be around February now.
Well, you know,
Yeah, when you get
that's
back
still
to it.
after the holidays. I didn't give a
Yeah,
date.
it's still after the holidays, yeah. But then, like, even after that, there's GaryCon in March that most of us are going to. I'll be going there not only representing Grumpy Dungeon Masters, but also Orthane Productions for
Ooh.
Kashinar.
Ooh.
And then, man,
They're gonna have
it's
you.
gonna.
They're gonna have you in the booth.
I got some booth time. I got that they created a module to run.
You're a booth babe now?
He's a booth babe.
Oh,
I'm a booth
shit.
babe. Yeah,
Just
Be
pictures.
modeling, showing
I
stuff
got-
off.
yeah. I got this really cool like
XXL
Egyptian
shirt.
style hat and robes and shit.
Hell
I
yeah.
got my six pack being worked on. It's gonna be hot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're gonna do your best, Vanna White, to show us the maps and posters of Kashinar.
Hell
He's
yeah.
just gonna be knocking over all the shit. Like,
Yeah, I know.
I'm so sorry.
That's what I do. But yeah, it's gonna be a busy year, especially in the beginning of it. And then I may try to run another tournament next year. I don't know. We'll see.
Yep, a lot of work, but that's a ways off still.
Yeah.
But today is the darkest day of the year,
Yeah.
which for Shadowdark fans who back the Western Marches is a holiday now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
is that so we record this on the 21st.
Yes.
And it gets released on the 23rd. So being that today is actually the winter solstice and the beginning of winter and is the darkest day of the year, it just seems very serendipitous to that.
I know, right? Yeah, we actually get to record on the darkest day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got the emails that say today is a major Shadowdark holiday, if ever there was one. Darkest day. That's what I'm calling it anyway. It is the winter solstice, the shortest day of sunlight in the northern hemisphere, and thus the longest night. Today, the Shadowdark draws closest to the sunlit world. Torches burn feebly, strange abominations stir in the lengthening shadows, and we gather around the gaming table to fight back the perils of the dark. Tomorrow, the world begins its slow creep back towards the blazing dominance of the sun, and the balance of power shifts towards the light once again. But until then, we must survive the darkest day. Roll high and don't die.
Yeah.
You got
And
6. So
PDF
what was the 6
attached.
again?
So there's a PDF attached. Normally she attaches a monster, but today it wasn't so much a monster, but a random encounter. And the encounter is darkest day. On the shortest day of sunlight each year, the 10-eyed oracle emerges from the depths of the Shadowdark. All random encounters that occur on this night have a 3 in 6 chance of being with the 10-eyed oracle. Page 255 of Shadowdark RPG. And literally on the cover of the Shadowdark RPG, if you have a copy, it is essentially the Shadowdark version of the Beholder. When the oracle appears, it makes a riddle-like demand, fueled by one of its unfathomable prophecies. PCs who fail to meet the oracle's demand before the longest night ends must pay. Their next random encounter is with the oracle again, but this time it is hostile. And if you have ever encountered a beholder in an early edition of D&D, you know that is a serious business. And it is just as serious and deadly in Shadowdark. So, Christian, you sound like you have dice near you. Roll a d12.
Oh, I'm ready. I rolled a 6.
Christian, run until you cannot go further. Then eat a shadow. How would
Fantastic.
you, as a character in Shadowdark, would you think you would go about doing this to satisfy the demand? The Oracle.
Yeah, I love this because this is all like, it's okay. How do you think about this in a way that you can convince this thing that you have done what it asked?
Yeah, an absolute crazy person, monster aberration.
I could
Yeah.
eat a shadow.
No, you couldn't.
Yeah, I
Show me.
could. So I would take my little hands and I'd make like an alligator with them, and then I'd do the thing from like, uh, so. Do you remember the live action Peter Pan from when we were kids, the Disney version?
You mean
You're
Hook?
not talking about Hook, are you?
No, 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 no. The live action Disney was like it was on VHS tape, but it was on like it was like a stage play, stage production.
Ah.
And the girl that's Peter Pan puts her hand up and spreads her fingers out so you could see the shadow. And then the other hand became like a little duck or an alligator. And then it would eat her fingers one at a time while she bent her fingers away and basically would like eat the shadow of the fingers like it was eating away the food and then it would eat the whole hand. Um, so I do a performance check for some shadow puppetry.
Yeah, and you'd eat
Ah,
the shadow. Okay.
It might work.
yeah,
Okay.
That's clever.
It's
I like it.
clever thinking at least, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so the funny thing is before we started talking about this, I hadn't actually read the 1 through 12. So I'm expecting, something. I'm expecting challenges, but these are literally just insanity. Like they're almost all impossible.
Mhm.
I
Well,
like
I'm
number
glad
5
that
is go to a song and unsing it.
I'm glad too that she released something for winter related things that doesn't have anything to do with Santa Claus or Krampus. You know,
Yeah.
and as someone who's released something related to Santa
so
Claus and Krampus for Christmas, I'm just
so Waples, I like the shadow puppet aspect of it. That it's like you would, but what did you say about how you would run until you could run no further? What was your answer for that part?
how you can run until you can run no further. You just run until you fall over.
Yeah, run until you collapse in cardiac arrest.
Yep.
I think I would literally just run into a wall.
Yeah, that would work.
That would
Yeah.
also work.
And then I would probably light a candle and then step towards my own shadow until the shadow was no longer there.
Yeah, I like that. I would see like using light to dispel shadows could be,
Yeah,
eating a shadow in a way.
yeah. I think that would. I mean, I think a lot of these things would work essentially to. But all of this is like I love all of these because this is all just an argument from the players to the DM, and the DM being like, you know what? Yeah, I really like that answer because there's no defined answers to any of these.
Yeah.
Which is always a great thing, is this is
Yeah.
just a challenge, and then it is open to the player to do it. And with there being no defined answer, it's just that the DM is free to be like, I like what you did there. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if all else fails, just take the third answer.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that's Christian. Okay. Anybody else have any dice handy? Chris, you
I
always
do.
have dice handy.
Yeah. What am I rolling?
D12.
10.
10. Drown gold and steal bone. And steal is STEAL, as in theft.
So drown, bone, and
No,
what was
drown
it again?
gold. Drown
Okay.
gold and steal bone, drown gold and steel bone
Like how long do I have to complete
until
this
the
task?
sun rises.
Okay, I think it's doable. So you go to town, go to the center well, toss on a gold
Sure.
piece.
Okay.
Yeah. And then go to the blacksmith forge. All right. Well, go to the kitchen first, grab a
Okay.
ham hock,
Okay.
eat the ham hock on the way to the blacksmith, dip the ham hock bone into the molten iron.
Okay.
Wrong kind of steel. Steel as in like theft.
Yeah, you
Thieving
actually just
bone.
succeed
Oh.
when you take the ham hock.
As long as you actually just thieve it.
Yeah, if
Oh, I thought it was
you're
like
thieving it, like I
okay.
feel like you have to steal the bone from like a dog or something.
I don't know. I could also see it as like, uh, you know, you drop treasure into the ocean, you're drowning gold, and
Yeah.
then go fishing. You pull a fish out of the ocean and debone it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's not theft. It has to. Well, I guess
you're stealing
You
the bones
steal it
from
from the
it.
fish.
it has to belong to something. But does a fish having bones? Like, I would
Fish
think
have
stealing.
bones.
Yeah, I know but you don't think of ownership in that manner. Like,
You
theft.
could argue ownership in that
You,
manner for sure to a
You can't
fucking
Jade, you
floating orb
cannot
with
have my bones.
yeah. The
You
the the
cannot
idea the idea of
ever have
stealing the ham hock made more sense to me than deboning a fish.
yeah,
As a DM, I would accept either answer. However,
yeah.
All
And
right, Jay.
that's the thing. Like I would like depending on how this played out. Like I mean, every DM I think would play this out like differently, and I would love to. I'd love to be like a fly on the wall to every DM's table for this,
Mm.
because I would. Some people would be like, okay, everybody roll a d12 and everybody gets to do something different. Like everybody gets a different demand in their head, which would be cool. Or everybody gets the same demand, but everybody runs off in a different direction to do the demand differently, and nobody gets to hear how they're fulfilling the demand. It's just like everybody's doing their things separately. Because I'd love to like everybody gets to individually do their thing, and then everybody comes back to the table and gets to hear what everybody else fucking did, which would be hilarious too. It's like, holy shit, that's what you did? You did a shadow puppet? What? I didn't even fucking think
Yeah,
of that. You stole a bone from a dog?
yeah. I think part of it has to be too, like the idea of as long as your character is, or you as the player are taking it seriously, and your solution is one that you are like, this is something I think works. That's kind of part of it. Like if you're trying to kind of be a dick and game the system, then like I'm gonna more likely to rule against. But if you're like, oh, I think this is a good idea, and you can argue your case of why you think this satisfies the requirements, that's what
Yeah.
it's about, is trying to make you be clever in figuring out these weird things.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do one more and then we'll move on. Jay, you want to roll one or you want me to?
yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
I rolled a 3.
Plant a tooth where the earth split of its own accord.
That one wouldn't be that hard, honestly. You have to get a
Depends on where
2.
you are.
Yes, obvious. If you're deep in a dungeon, that might be kind of difficult. If you're outside, it'd be really easy. At least the way I think of it. But you have to get a tooth. It doesn't matter where you get that. If it's your own, if it's somebody else's, maybe it's the dog's that you're just talking about. And then I would plant a tooth where the earth split of its own accord. The earth splits anytime things grow out of it. So just put it in there where grass came up or any plant of any sort.
Now, I would argue that a plant splitting the ground open is not the same as the earth splitting on its own accord, like a fault line or, I don't know. I don't know if you guys have big forest around you guys, but every once in a while, if you're walking through the forest, you'll find a place where like a hill has collapsed under the weight of the trees and has just given way to like this huge crevice that usually begins caves and whatnot. Like you just toss one in there.
Yeah, but there's also like if you're in a drought and there is cracking of a clay soil, they all the earth, the surf topsoil is all cracked, and you could easily just shove a tooth in there.
Yeah.
Something like
The
that. I
argu
mean,
the argument
there's a lot of different options. obviously.
The argument is on the term its own accord. You
Mhm.
know,
What's causing it? Yeah.
right. Well, the Earth technically it splits of its own accord when the plates run against each other and you have
Yeah.
earthquakes.
If there's an earthquake, yeah.
Sure.
Uh,
But you also live in a
so
fantasy land where there's literally spells that can do that. And
yeah,
is that really of its own accord if a druid's casting a spell causing an earthquake?
Yeah, my world would be no. It didn't split. You split it.
Yeah.
It
right.
split of your accord, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So plants growing out of it. Well, maybe that's going to depend on how the DM wants to rule it.
Yeah, a dry riverbed, or if you've ever been out to the Badlands, where Badlands National Park and places where it is just cracked land all over the place, just from being baked in the sun.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
none of these solutions have an accordion, so I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, every one of these are going to cause you to have to think in
Yeah,
a
and that's where
different manner.
none of these is looking at your character sheet and what can I do with my magical spells and abilities that I have on my character sheet to figure out what to do. This is all thinking about what you can do with just the game world and what's around you. I mean,
Yeah, some of these could potentially be really tough depending on like I
where
said,
you are and
where you are in the adventure. If you're deep in a dungeon somewhere, you might be in trouble for some of these.
Yep, it's a good way to wipe a party.
If you're I don't know, sailing on the high seas in a boat, you might be in a bit of trouble.
Yep, you got till daylight to figure it out, and if you don't, next time you have a random encounter, you're going to be fighting the Oracle, which is probably just going to kill you. Because
Yeah, that's not an encounter I want to fight.
no, we pulled up those things stats, and yeah, it's a level 18 monster. It's just going to kill your whole damn party, or at least you. So
I'm not going to roll, but this one I actually have to ask you guys because I don't, at the top of my head at least, have a good solution in Shadowdark. In D&D, absolutely. In Shadowdark, I'm not really sure I have a solution. Witness an untimely death or birth and reverse it.
yeah, I saw that one.
Is there a feign death spell in Shadowdark or equivalent thereof, from the Necromancer maybe?
I don't think so. Well, let's see. I just had the Necromancer stuff up from our game the other night.
Yeah, witness an untimely death or birth and reverse it. I mean, I guess you could shove the newborn back in there.
I mean, I guess
A wish spell.
Yeah, but you got to be real high level.
Yeah, for that.
I mean, it is possible, obviously, to resuscitate somebody who has died, even
that's kind of
in
another one I would accept if you by whatever means necessary are able to turn to your buddy, you stab him in the back, and then you stabilize him and bring him back. Sure, you're technically dying at that point, so
but is that actually a death though? I mean, in game terms, when you're bleeding out, you're not actually dead. But what
not
I'm
dead
saying is
yet.
that,
Yeah.
but in real life, if somebody's heart stops, you can perform CPR on them and bring them back. Like babies, not frequently, but babies often have to have CPR or born too early. They need to be brought back, and they need to be brought back to life. You know, by doctors and wet nurses and things like that. That's a thing that happens. People that have drowned have to have the water taken out of their lungs and CPR brought back. There's a whole side quest story in fucking Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire with the fucking the drowned men or whatever, where they do that shit. Maybe something like that, but you got to go real fucking deep to make something like that work in Shadowdark, where
Well,
there are no rules for something like that.
you're also thinking very literally, which looking at a lot of these, you might not want to do that. So the idea of witnessing an untimely death or birth and reversing it. I know the phrase "dying on stage." When a
Oh yeah,
comedian,
it could,
when
okay.
when a comedian's up there just eating shit, not getting any reactions.
And then
So
finally, you actually have a joke land.
yes, so that would be one
Good
possible
call,
way.
Jay. Good call.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good.
Yeah. So like, if you're playing the bard class or some shit, like you just fucking bombing at court, and then fucking you just make fun of somebody, and everybody just laughs, and then fucking you're not gonna get stoned in the courtyard.
Yep. Yeah, because a lot of these, I don't think they're designed to be taken literally, because if you do, that's going to be
Oh, I don't think any of them are. I don't think any of
yeah,
them are.
No, I think they're all meant to be like, how
yeah,
clever can you get with kind of working the
yeah.
problem here?
Like even
And
number
I
8,
think Jay's example was perfect. That was a very clever reading of it, and
Yeah.
I would 100% go for that. That's
yeah,
great.
like even
Yeah,
number
and
8.
I think that, like, honestly, just trying to go with your gut instinct on any of these is really just not, like, you really do have to like stop and think for more than just a couple of minutes for these,
Yep.
for most of them at least.
Yeah, number 8 was undo a curse or repay its pain in equal measure. We generally with role playing games, you think of curses as bad spells, things like that, but curse words count as curses. You could just call somebody a foul word and then say, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it."
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
fair.
I love these things.
Yeah, no, this has been great. This is a excellent. This would be a great, just kind of like mid-session encounter, that just to test your PCs, just for uh, uh, riddle solving and brainstorming, and what they can do, and you can even give them really a nice XP reward. Or if they can't fucking think their way through it, hell of a fucking fight, because those beholder stats
It's
are
not
no joke. Holy crap!
unless
Yeah,
you're
that's
yeah
not
yeah you
that's
got to
also
be
not
high
a
high
want to
level.
fight in Shadowdark.
Yeah, that's
No,
not a fight you want.
no, even at high level, that's a nasty fight.
No, you're losing
Yeah.
a couple of party members in that one.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. Who's got the next topic?
I got another dark topic to talk about.
Well,
Oh boy,
let's go for it.
we're in
All
the
right.
darkness.
So Jay,
Uh-oh.
you can't answer this question.
Oh,
Oh, no.
all right.
Dan and Christian, what is my most favorite board game of all time?
Oh yeah, I do know that.
Yours?
Horse? What?
Sorry, what?
What is my most favorite board game of all time?
Your favorite board game of all time?
I've never played a board game with you, so I don't know.
I do talk about it quite a lot.
He
Oh,
has.
Candyland.
Yes, he loves Candyland.
Really?
No.
Candyland is a baller game. Let's be fair.
It shoots and ladders.
No, one of my favorite games, my favorite board game of all time is a game called Dark Tower. Are you guys familiar with that at all?
No, I saw it at an estate sale a couple of years ago, and tried to grab it, but somebody barely beat me to it. I've never been able to get my hands on a copy of it.
Yeah, I'm
Well-
familiar that it exists, but I've never had the luxury of playing it.
So Dark Tower is a game that came out like in 1982, 1983.
Mhm.
It was a Mattel game.
Unrelated to Stephen King's Dark Tower, right?
Yes, unrelated to Stephen King's Dark Tower.
Okay.
And this game was fairly popular. Has an amazing art style. Definitely look it up. Just Dark Tower
Yeah,
board
I've
game.
seen it. It's beautiful. I think they remade it a couple years ago, didn't they? Or they
Oh.
released it, maybe?
Yeah,
Don't
there's
get too far ahead of me.
Okay, sorry.
And it was taken off the shelves because of licensing issues with the name Dark Tower. Other people owned it. I can't remember the specifics about the lawsuit, but it was essentially the game was taken off the shelves, and basically that was the end of its run.
Okay.
So finding a complete Dark Tower game in relatively good condition, at least last time I checked, was
Pricey.
$600-700. The tower alone goes for a couple hundred. The flag that you plant on top of the tower, that alone goes for $50 because
Yeah.
that thing always broke.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know if you recall, a few months ago, I was hitting up an estate sale and was asking Jay about some stuff I was looking at, and had posted a picture of a Dark Tower copy, and he said, "Oh, yeah, you
Yeah.
should try to grab that." And by the time I got there, it was gone, but it was listed at like $40 or something like that, and somebody, of
Yeah.
course, snagged it literally seconds before I walked in. I was
Yeah.
like, "You son of a!"
It's great. I have 2 copies. I have a mint edition
Wow,
copy
nice.
that I've
Ooh.
kind of put together, and I have the other copy that was like the crappy parts. Essentially, my history with the game is that my father used to host his own board game nights when I was a kid, and one of the board games that he played with his friends was Dark Tower. And my room was right above the laundry room, and the laundry room was connected to the kitchen, and that's where they played the board games. So I would hear this tower running, these 8-bit sounds going like doody doody and brrr. I wanted to play the game so much, and so one of our like family traditions was playing this Dark Tower board game. And Jay, you came over and you played it for a little bit. The tower was kind of out of commission, so we couldn't play much of
Yeah,
it.
we tried to play, we set it up, and then the tower wouldn't work, so that was
Yeah.
the end of it.
Essentially, you have to get in, you have to open it up, and you have to oil it and stuff like that, and keep the gears fresh. And I got to get around to doing that with mine. Um, but it's an amazing game. It's really fun. The concept of the game is the centerpiece, the Dark Tower itself, is this little pre uh, microchip computer, and you travel your guy across the board through these 4 realms, get finding keys in the crypts and the tombs. And then when you have all 3 keys and you make it all the way around the board, you gather up your forces and then you attack the Dark Tower. You fight brigands as the big bad guy. You can get lost. You have a certain carrying capacity per warrior in your party. It's pretty detailed and intense for the 1980s. And when we would play it, and we learned all the super cool tricks and everything to it, and it was a lot of fun. So, getting around to it being re-released, it did get re-released. I don't know the specifics behind how they got the name back, but they did release a Return to Dark Tower updated version of the board, where there's now a new tower. There is a big, huge map, still divided up into 4 different segments. Um, and now it has like cooperative play and competitive play. And you kind of still move around your section of the board, but you can move it to other places when it's cooperative. And you have to fight like the minions that are spawning all across the board, and kind of like you battle the Dark Tower almost in a pandemic style of game where like at a certain point in time you're all going to get too corrupted and the game will end. So you have to kill the bad guys, do all the quests, and beat the adversary in the Dark Tower before all is said and done. I backed it the second time it came around, like $600. I got all the minis, all the expansion sets. I got the deluxe tower. I got the deluxe board because this was my game growing up, and I wanted to play it. And it has been sitting in my hallway outside my room in a box since I got it. Never had a chance to play it until last weekend.
Okay.
I invited over some friends, and we got a chance to sit down and actually play the game. And it was a lot of fun. It wasn't as quick as the original game. It took about an hour and a half per quest, and we didn't win any of the quests. We just got corrupted and died both times. So there's a lot of replayability in that. There's about 12 different adversaries you can fight. Having the full miniatures instead of just like the cardboard tokens was really cool. Like I said, it was definitely worth the $600. But there's one
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the resale value is gonna be that high, so it's not
Yeah.
like you're losing money or anything.
I would never resell
He's
it.
never selling it though. You know he's
No,
not.
I'm aware, but it's just that for at least for me, that's how I think of all of my D&D stuff. It's not
So
it's an investment.
Fair.
So I will say this: I don't think it's going to have any resale value. There is a fatal flaw with this game that I've never experienced before in any kind of board game, and that honestly kills any fun that I had with the game. And that is that in order to play the game, you need to download an iPad app and
Oh
run it through the
no.
app.
Oh no. I have actually
No,
before.
nowhere on the site does it say that or mention it at all. And so the original game, everything was done through the tower, but this time the tower just like at the end of your turn, you drop a skull into the top, and it records that your turn is over, and eventually it drops skulls out on the board, and you put them on the little buildings and whatnot, and buildings get destroyed because of too many skulls. You get corrupted, yada yada. But everything is run through this iPad app. And I didn't know that. And luckily, my wife has an iPad, so I borrowed her iPad and was able to play the game. But I had no idea. And I will definitely be playing it again. I definitely had a lot of fun. But at a certain point in time, that app is going to be vaporware.
Yep.
And the iOS isn't going to be able to support that game anymore. So I'm not sure the company's publishing this game anymore or supporting it at all. Like the last update was like 5 years ago. Like
Not to
how?
mention that it's a pretty hefty additional requirement to you've already bought a quite expensive board game, but now you also must own an iPad.
Yes,
Yeah, so it can't be any tablet. It has to be an iPad.
I think like I had iPad, iOS, the like 10 and above or something. I can't remember
But
specifically.
so it has to be a Apple product. It can't even be like
I
a.
believe there was an Android version of it as well, and
Okay.
that may be
Well,
the
at
only
least there's
saving
that.
grace. Yeah,
But
because I know at least
still,
with the Android, you could emulate an older OS and run it that
I
way.
will say that if it's
Yeah,
popular
but that's
enough,
a lot
there
of
will be there
hoops.
if it's popular enough, there will be third party people that will keep it alive and will do something to keep it alive to make it work. But it sucks that that's even has to happen. You know.
Yeah, like it
Yeah,
it killed me when I saw that it required the iPad app because like I don't mind if it was like, hey, here's an app to track your shit. The original
Yeah,
game
here's
had,
the map to make it easier. Sure,
yeah,
that's fine.
there's actually an app right now that you can download for the original game to track the shit instead of using like the cardboard and the pegs. Like, okay, I can go with that. That's not a requirement to play the game. But essentially, I have this $600 board game that I would not be able to use once this app ends, and
Mm.
I feel really kind of ripped off.
No, that's
Yeah.
a serious problem.
no, that's
I
fair.
I fully agree with you. Yeah,
I do too.
I've bought
Yeah.
many board games, and anytime I'm out, and I see a board game where it says requires said app. No, there's no chance I'm ever going to buy that board game because of what you're talking about. At some point, it is vaporware.
Yeah. I don't
So
mind if there's an app that is makes life easier, but if it's required, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have a problem with that too. Like, on one of my other favorite board games is called Small World. Are you guys familiar with that one?
Yeah, I own a copy.
Yeah. That's a fairly fun board game as well too. You kind of like build armies and it's got a fantasy cartoony theme. Even has a World of Warcraft expansion set to it,
Hmm.
So it was fairly popular. But there's a lot of pieces to it and you could just download the app version of the game and it plays so much better. Like it's better to play the app version than it is to buy the board game and just sit on the couch and pass it back and forth to each other
No
because
way.
that way you don't have to mess
Yeah.
with any of the pieces or anything. Like there's a lot of pieces of Small World and it
Yeah,
I
I
know.
gets
played Small World and I didn't have an issue playing it. It's just a board game.
If you think there's a lot of pieces to that, you have no idea. Like, I have so many other games that are way fucking worse. I own games that literally require 4 boxes.
okay, I've been trying to search for this for the last 5 minutes, but you guys are familiar with the PC game XCOM, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Fantastic
love it.
game.
Yep.
Right? A couple years ago, they came out with a board game. and a buddy of ours brought it over to our house. It was great. It was fantastic. Played very similarly to the PC game, which was the one flaw for the PC game is that it's not multiplayer. You have these teams that seem like it'd be great to just play with co-op, but it wasn't co-op. At least none of the time. The last time I played it, but you got to play it co-op as a board game with one flaw. You had to have a fucking app to have timed team adventures to play the board game. And that I felt exactly the same way that Waples feels. I'm like, I'm not buying this because of the exact same reason why Waples feels like this. Like the company that made this board game and this app are going to go out of business and will never be updated again. And I'm going to have to try to figure out how to time each individual quest for it to work. And I'm not going to do that.
Yep.
I remember that. I've played XCOM once, and yeah, I remember feeling the exact same way. I was happy to play it when whoever owned it brought it over and we played it, but it was never one I would buy because of that same thing of eventually it will be obsolete and I will not be able to play my game, or at least it will be significantly harder as I have to figure out some weird workaround.
That's the thing. Is like even I'm trying to think of a game that does things like that. Pandemic is the best example I can think of, where like every time you play a card off the top of the deck, something happens in the world, and then eventually you get too many like outbreaks or whatever, and the game's over. That's how this new Dark Tower kind of plays. But there's no deck. There's no way to literally kind of like interpret what the game wants you to do at all. So like without the app, it is absolutely useless. Like there's not even a chance that you'll be able to play this game in any capacity. Like
yeah, that's garbage.
So I looked up because you mentioned like a lawsuit, and it wasn't over the name, the Dark Tower. What it was is that before it was released, two designers, Robert Burton and Alan Coleman, came to Milton Bradley and pitched an idea where this electronic tower centerpiece would act as a game master of sorts for players, and Milton Bradley rejected the idea, and then a year later came out with the Dark Tower.
Ah.
And so the two creators, recognizing their game that they had just pitched, sued and won.
nice. Good for them.
Yep.
Like 'cause I remember Dark Tower very fondly. I love the art to it. The new game's art is good, but it's not as iconic. It's almost like the old game had like the stained glass art appearance to it. And there was technically a story to it and everything. Like there's this evil wizard that has a scepter that controls a black dragon, and he's terrorizing the world with this black dragon, and you have to fight through all of his brigands and eventually storm the tower to kill the wizard and everything. And there's some homages to that in the new game, like the scepter is an item you can get and stuff like that. There's a black dragon, of course, and um, just I was so happy to play it. I had a really great time, but now I just have this nagging thing in the back of my head that it's going to die, and I don't play board games all that often. So like the next time I play it, is the OS going to be still compatible with the app? It's always going to be a fear that I'm going to have.
Yeah.
So
Yep, here's hoping. Like Dan was saying though, at some point, if there are enough people who love the game, they will find a way to make it work. There will be a online group somewhere that's designed a method to play it without the app. But
yeah,
that's not the design. Like I understand it's still annoying and it shouldn't have been a thing, especially without them, making it very fucking blatant. You need this app.
yeah. Like I said, I even went back
By
to the
the way,
website to
by the
look. I
way,
couldn't find it.
I just looked this up about the XCOM app. 5 years ago, there were people looking for a way to download the XCOM board game app because the Fantasy Flight Games website
Went
was
out.
turning up
Yep.
a 404 file not found, and Amazon and Google Play had Apple Store had all dropped the app from their stores.
Mhm.
Shocking.
Yeah, no way.
I'm Jack Stock of surprise.
Yeah, no way.
Yep. So
Mhm.
that's where we're at with that.
I'm
I know
angry,
it's
guys.
yep.
Yeah. All right, next
So,
topic. Next topic.
next topic. I guess we can talk briefly about the Duergar since Chris was on them last week.
Durgar.
Do you mean dark dwarves?
Yeah, the well, no, I mean the gray dwarves.
Great Wars.
Yeah, they're gray dwarves.
Sure, whatever.
And
Dark
honestly,
dwarves.
I don't even have a whole lot for this topic because I spent 2 or 3 hours going down a fucking rabbit hole looking at all of the old lore on this race from
Why?
because I was curious, and this is what I do.
He
So
wanted to be mad at me.
oh no,
Okay.
no, it had nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Tell me how Waples was wrong, because that's what I'm going to go
yeah,
on.
Yeah, that's all we
anyway,
really need to know.
yeah, okay. Even though Waples wasn't wrong, I'm going to pretend that he was wrong here.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Let's do
Yeah,
that.
that's the stuff.
So last week he told. I feel like you guys are getting off on this or something. This is
Mhm.
fucking weird now. So last week he told a story or whatever. It was a conversation you can have in Baldur's Gate 3, where Duergar don't drink, and it's because they have ancestral memories that can send them into a furious rage, and those ancestral memories come from when they were uh, held as slaves by mind flayers. I am not a fan of the Duergar. It's not my thing. Chris loves them to death, but I don't know shit about them. I know they can turn invisible. They can enlarge themselves. Fourth edition ones could shoot fucking fire quills from their beard. Like I really don't know anything about them. So I went down this rabbit hole of first edition, second edition, third edition, everything Dragon magazine had on them, just to find where this quote or where this idea of them having ancestral memories came from. And I came up with absolutely fucking nothing. And then we get right
Cadence Tomophos.
and then we get on here and Chris is like, "Oh yeah, that's just in 5th edition." So yeah, that's how I spent my 2 or 3 hours.
And
So not a real edition.
so, and that's how ancestral it was.
Yes. Yes, that's all. Now, I like that idea. It is a cool lore concept. I wish it had more gravitas. I wish it was, something that's, one of the older writers had come up with rather than what we see in 5e. But it is a cool piece of lore. So,
It is an
yeah.
interesting idea. I just don't know because of it came out in a book that they've already basically thrown away.
That's the worst part too. Is like when that book reached the end of its life. Let's just say that. A lot of people are like, "There's a lot of lore that's you're going to lose if you basically restrict this from the page completely." And I was searching D&D Beyond to try to find it, and I even have the old legacy copy of the book on D&D Beyond, and it was not popping up on my searches. I have to go into the Duergar section specifically to see the old lore bits. So it's not even searchable on D&D Beyond. That's
Conveniently, it's
just
searchable in the
dumb.
books that we own.
I mean, yeah, but who looks at
Yeah.
books?
But
Yeah,
the
well,
the
that's
lore
what they want you to. That's exactly where they want you to be. Who
he's
looks
not
at
wrong though.
books?
Like a lot of the lore does get sort of ignored or overwritten. Like, all of this research I was doing on them, they were worshippers of Ladiguer, I think was
Yeah,
their
yeah.
god's
I don't
name.
know the pronunciation, but yeah, he's a god of meaningless toil.
Yeah, but then at some point I think they have shifted over to another deity, Lady Duera, I believe was the name.
That's just another. It's not that they shifted. It's just she was always part of the pantheon. That's part of
No,
the
she
core Great
wasn't.
War.
Like, she wasn't. This is stuff that came around, I think, in 3rd edition, during the Spell Plague is when this took place. Like, she was just a queen of one of the Duergar clans, and hopefully I'm not wrong, but this is what I recall reading. She was one of the, leaders of a clan who had, was honorable and had a lot of, shit that she did, and at some point, Latiger made her a god. Uh,
I could be wrong, but I swear I remember references to her from some old
let's see, Deep
second edition
Dwera.
stuff. Yeah, she's in Demi-Human Deities, Forgotten Realms second edition
Okay,
book. So she goes back at least to second edition.
fair enough. And I don't know exactly what I read so much stuff, and I wasn't taking notes, which I probably should have been. Uh,
I mean, but
but
that just goes to show you like how much lore has been out there and how much has changed and how hard it is. Even with the Forgotten Realms wiki, you're only getting what people remember to put up there,
yeah,
And eventually, Ed's going to go away and all that lore is just going to become questionable. Right now, at least you can ping him and say, "Hey, who wrote this?"
Just
But
Well,
yep.
that's why there are certain in certain circles there's a argument against having your world too dense in set lore, right? Because it creates restriction. Even like Kelsey has talked about how she was kind of uncomfortable writing for the Forgotten Realms because there's just so much that's already there that you have no idea if you are
yeah.
crossing over stuff that somebody else has even already written. It's almost impossible to find a space where you can be creative and just know, oh, I can do stuff here and it's not going to conflict with something that's already been done.
Imagine
Well,
writing comic books for Marvel or DC.
Yeah, yeah, the same problem.
I
Things
mean,
need to end
but
sometimes.
but even when it comes down to Marvel and DC, they have people whose whole job it is to be the lore keepers and to check that shit. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean they're
they
gonna.
they had to hire one for fucking Warcraft recently because they kept fucking shit up too much and that fans were getting pissed off. And with Forgotten Realms, a part of it is that it is very dense. I think that's why they probably stay on the Sword Coast for as long as they have, because probably that's what Perkins felt very comfortable with, being kind of like the lead. But, you know, you can have those people who understand this old stuff and, times do change. And you're allowed to do soft or hard resets to your world and
Nope,
progress the story.
nope, not
That's
allowed.
that's what I'm really irritated about by this 5.5 release is that they didn't really progress the story. They needed to go further down the timeline than still in the immediate because now everything is going to be the same. Fucking I honestly believe that like Baldur's Gate should be post apocalyptic essentially because of the events of Baldur's Gate 3 and Candlekeep and whatnot. I think Chult should be in a different area. Things should have changed. Things should have progressed because you can have this massive lore dense thing, but it only becomes a problem when you stagnate in a certain time period. If
They
you keep
used to.
pushing things forward, things are fine. Like the spell plague shit, like that has come and gone. And yeah, a lot of very specific things happen there, but that was, 100 years ago now, even though it's only
Yeah,
been 20.
yeah. The part.
You throw Forgotten Realms, 250 years into the future, so that all the lore that's there now is now effectively ancient history, right?
Yeah.
Part
That's
part
what
of
they need to do.
part of the problem though, like Marvel and DC, they're constantly writing comics. You always have things churning through to progress that lore. WotC used to write a lot of fucking books. You had a lot of novels. You were constantly having releases throughout the course of the year with updated lore. And then 4E, I don't know how 4E was, then 5E. 5E, they don't release anything. There are very, very, very few novels written. So you don't get that progression of lore, that progression of time. All of 5E's progression of time is just through the adventure modules. And if you didn't play them or run them, you don't know anything about any of that stuff.
Yeah. That's that is the big problem. And now that Perkins is gone and Crawford is gone, and I know the writing team is doing their best, and it's not on them, but
Yep.
they being Hasbro has lost a lot of old memory stuff that they needed to take care of things. And even this even applies with like Magic the Gathering and stuff like that, where they have all this giant history and lore that they're kind of just like tossing to the side and not caring about. and it's going to cause them problems down the line when people want to return to certain places and not be in Marvel or Star Wars anymore. And it's it's just going to come back and bite them in the ass. They need to keep their lore tight and keep it progressing, and not just focus on all this extra dumb shit that they've been focusing on. Stop trying to focus on making money as the primary and focus on the actual product so it can come back in 50 years.
Lols. Have you been to like a bookstore lately? Like just a commercial grade bookstore, not like a LGS lately, and just to see the level of D&D branded shenanigans that there is out there now? And tell me that they're not just focusing on making money. They're not focusing on product. They're not focusing on good product. They are focusing on just making money.
It's a brand.
It's a brand now. It is. That's all it is.
And I'm fine with D&D being a brand. I'm like, that's fine, but
I'm fine with it being a brand in addition to making good product. But if you're just taking a dump on the product and putting out like how many pages was that shit ass Eberron thing they put out? 120 of like recycled shit from 10 years ago. Give me a fucking break.
Yeah. So right now the problem with Hasbro is because they made a lot of bad business decisions over the past 4 or 5 years, like buying Entertainment One for $400 billion and then turning around and selling it for $4 billion. The fact that the toy brand sect of their business is now losing money. They lost like 110 million on toy products. I mean, they're close to breaking even, but you're gonna go bankrupt if you're just breaking even.
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering is the only thing keeping the company afloat. There was 80% of their revenue last year, according to the last report that they put out. And that's really bad for Magic because we've reached a situation where no one's caring what the product really is anymore. And D&D was 10% of that. So at least D&D is making a profit, but eventually it's going to happen that all that shit is just going to burn out. You're going to get milked very quickly, and no one's going to buy the product 10 years from now.
I mean, people are already running away from 5e.
Right, because it's become, instead of becoming, hey, this is a game and a world and a thing that we care about as, nerds that want to make something, to the shareholders need to be satisfied in the quarterly reports, and so we need to have stuff that points to numbers go up.
Yeah, and I get that, and that's why a lot of the shareholders have been like talking about branching Wizards of the Coast off of Hasbro and letting Hasbro kind of like die into bankruptcy, let it just die out. That way they can just focus on the products that is Magic the Gathering and D&D and a couple of the other WotC products that are making money.
But who's going to make all the toys that are sitting on the shelves that nobody buys?
Mm-hmm.
If the idea is that once that side of the business goes bankrupt, they can
pull all those deal. That's what you do.
Yeah, they can sell all
shells because that's expensive.
Yeah, that's essentially it. And that's not a bad idea, but I think the issue is that because WotC is under Hasbro and WotC is the thing that's making everybody money, Hasbro's not gonna get rid of it until enough people buy enough Hasbro stock that when the next time the vote comes around, they can vote for that change to happen.
They better just pray that Magic doesn't die off, because they're selling a lot, but it's collectors, it's not players. It just is.
I mean,
but as long as that continues, or as long as they can appease the collectors, then they can continue printing money, which is really all I care about.
It's that, and Stranger Things helped a lot too, and that's coming to an end in 7 days. They just made a big amount of money from all the Stranger Things products that they put out. But like I said, that's going away in 7 days. So,
that's all right. They got this new D&D Warlock video game coming out.
I'm sure that's gonna make them a ton.
It's gonna be fucking dope, bro.
Yeah.
Can't
Mm,
wait.
and none of us know anything about it yet.
Yeah, it
No,
looks
I
like generic fantasy adventure game. It's gonna be
I mean,
awesome.
I'm fine with generic fantasy adventure game. I really am. It just as long as it plays well.
Yeah, I mean, that's what matters. Is it fun? Is it fun? I don't know
there's
anything about it.
so here's an interesting piece of news. Remember the game Exodus, the thing that is a literally owned by Hasbro, WotC, whoever. Like it's a studio, in-house development studio. Archetype Entertainment, I think, that is the video game studio that is making Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Well, their founder, James Olin, the guy behind Minsk and Jews, Boo's Journal of Villainy and Chains of Asmodeus, he is leaving the game studio.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
He is still staying on as a, I don't know if he's a quasi freelance, but as a consultant on
Consultant, yeah.
tabletop RPGs for Wizards, but also I guess still doing some of his own tabletop stuff. But yeah, he has stepped away from his role leading that studio.
Any idea
That's
what he's
not
doing?
good for them.
No, all it was that he has stepped away to be a consultant. He is now being a consultant, and he is now focusing on tabletop role-playing games, both at Wizards and his own stuff.
Huh. All right.
Good for him. He's going to make a lot of money.
His stuff is
maybe.
great. I loved
Yep.
Minsk and Boo and Chains of Asmodeus. Those were both great books.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. Did he?
would have been nice if they'd actually just been normal releases in the shelves,
Yep.
bookstores.
They would have been great as that, but
I would have
instead
bought
you
them
have
if they were.
instead you have to buy them print on demand from DM's
And they
Guild.
just barely didn't fit on my bookshelf, which was kind
Yeah,
of annoying.
just a slightly odd size, but they
Mm-hmm.
are
You know what? It
fantastic
fits
books.
perfectly fine on mine. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Your
He also
oversized
has
bookshelf for your oversized giant hands.
his own kind of Norse mythology type world called Raiders of the Serpent Sea. That is his
Cool.
own. Yeah. And he has another one that's kind of I can't remember the name of it. There's a Greek style mythology one too. Um, I can't remember the name of it, but he's got his own kind of TTRPG books and worlds and stuff out there that he's run Kickstarters for, successful stuff, and delivered them. So I guess he's going to be doing more of that. Maybe that's where his interest lies.
Well, when you keep just over milking products and eventually all your writers go away and do their own thing because they have more creative control in that aspect. And
It's literally how Image Comics started.
yeah,
I have seen some stuff that it may not be a reflection on Hasbro or WotC, and that he's just kind of a creative guy that likes, like, once he gets done with the creating part, like the game is almost ready to be released sometime next year or early 2027. So it's just the polishing the technical details, but all the creative work is essentially done. And so he's one of those creative guys like, all right, I created something, now I got to go create something else, and he just has to
yeah,
move on to the next thing.
yeah. No, there's a lot of people out there like that.
It's
When
literally me. I just don't
Yeah,
ever finish them.
he can't sit still on thing once he's finished one kind of creative work. He wants to move on to his next project that he's got ideas, for. So
and that's great. As long as we get more Minx and Boo, I'd be fine. He owns the character, right? He gets all the money for all the minis I buy of Minx and Boo, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
He's
sure.
a millionaire because of Minx and Boo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
No.
nothing like what's the take of the DM's Guild?
Uh, well, for him,
0.1%.
probably for him because he released a book like that and it was a hardcover book and everything. They probably take like 20%, which is probably really good. There's a
Okay.
publisher rate, and then there's a uh, average Joe rate, which is what I'm in, which is 50%. But he probably got like a 20% rate, which, being that they're handling all the books and printing and shipping and all that stuff like that, is fairly good.
Yeah, people don't generally get rich writing books anyway. You have to you have to get lucky, be very prolific, and then they turn it into movies.
Or an unfinished television series that I can't
Yeah.
wait to end. One day they'll produce the last couple seasons of that show.
Um, so moving on, do we have any other topics? Maybe I should
Nothing.
tell.
Nothing
Maybe I
we
should.
have to cover tonight. I mean,
I should probably tell the story of how 10th level PCs TPK'd in D&D.
you
'Cause
definitely should.
I just want you guys to tell me why you
Mhm.
think it's impossible for characters to die in D&D 5e first.
because it never happens at high levels.
All right, tell your story then.
All right. I realize my story, there's no combat. There's
Doesn't have
none
to be
at all.
combat.
Yeah, okay. My buddy Drew is running his homebrew Dungeons and Dragons game. We've been playing it for 6+ months. And it's horror D&D basically. It's all the elder gods. It's Cthulhu, it's Hastur, etc., etc. And we have figured out kind of how to deal with these problems. We figured out how to send these elder gods back to the far realms. And they're all linked to different portals, and we have to go and close the different portals. So we knew where one of them was. We were specifically trying to get rid of Cthulhu because the way the story has been told, if Cthulhu leaves, Hastur will follow him. And we absolutely have to get rid of Hastur because I am currently cursed that anytime I get around a book, it turns into a copy of The King in Yellow. I'm I'm a fucking wizard
How's that a curse?
because I'm a wizard.
That's a
Huh?
great time.
Yeah,
Seems like just fun. You're just spreading. You're just a salesman spreading literature.
yeah. Now
Huh?
I
that
think you
being
need to define what a book is to the DM.
yeah, well, we've yeah, and I've had the discussion on here. I've told the story where I am effectively playing a magical artifact. I am playing a book that possesses people and uses their bodies as wizards. So I can still cast all of my spells because I am the book, but I can't really copy spells. I can't do anything of that nature. I'm going to get my 2 spells every time every 2 levels, and that's pretty much it. So I have to get rid of Hastur, and we figured out how to do it. We just have to go to this portal deep under the ocean, inside of a bubble under the ocean where there's only
Under the sea.
yeah, under the sea. So we end up
Mhm.
finding the teleporter down. We teleport in, and the only way to get out is not through that teleporter because it didn't. There's no location. You have to teleport out as a wizard or spellcaster.
Mhm.
I'm the only fucking wizard in the party. I have to live, otherwise this whole thing's gone to shit.
So
And
playing Protect the Wizard. Got
kind of, yeah. So we get through the initial puzzles to get further into the dungeon, and we open up a door, and inside that next room is a giant fuck off library.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, damn it. I can't go in there. So we come up with this plan, and we were kind of fortunate in this regard in that we actually had a bag of holding that you could survive in it as a person.
But you're a
You would,
book, so who cares?
well, the body still has to breathe. So
You're a
I'm like,
book.
okay, I'm me and the body I'm possessing and the book will go inside the bag of holding. So we're in the bag of holding, which is being carried by our mutual friend Jacob, who's playing his centaur fighter character. Uh, we go into or they go into the room of the library, and there is a crazy guy in there who's spouting off a whole bunch of nonsense, but he knows where the portal is at. So they're trying to get it out of him where the portal's at, and then he points to the 3 doors and said, yeah, the 3 doors that were in the room, and it's like, okay, one of these doors will take you to the future, one of these doors will take you to the past, and one of these doors will take you to somewhere.
Fucking time travel.
And we have to figure out which one is the right door. And the guy's rambling on, and Jacob, I could tell, is sort of getting a little bit frustrated at the whole thing. His character's already fucking sick of dealing with wizards and all this weird shit, and now he's dealing with a crazy guy who's not speaking, very good sense. So
And whenever Muffin gets a fucking hair in his ass, he gets a hair in his ass.
yeah, Jacob will definitely go off the fucking rails. And he grabs a hold of the bard that was in our party. And as soon as the old guy opens up the first door, the plan, at least what the DM shared, was for the guy to give a description of what's on the other side of the door. But Jacob did not wait for that description. He just grabbed the old man and jumped through the fucking door. Come to find out, on the other side, on the other side of that door is the future, where a chaos god had won and destroyed everything.
Oops.
After we go through the door's not there. There's no way back. There's so it then Jacob and the bard start making a bunch of rolls for madnesses, every 6 seconds, and they just finally fail and fall unconscious. The whole time I'm just praying that a teleportation circle will get us out of here, because I didn't realize we were in the future. None of us quite did. But before I could even finish the thing, it just power word kills me. So so my corpse is there. Their bodies are laying there in the future.
In the future.
In the future. And the one PC that did not go through the door looks through the door after all of this shit and sees what's happening and just closes the fucking door and leaves.
How
Wise
fast can that
decision.
centaur run?
Not fast enough.
Because if he can get up to 88 miles an hour, I have no authority.
Oh, if only we had thought of that. I could have hasted him. Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, you really blew that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how you end a campaign as high-level characters. You don't do it with combat. You do it by players making stupid fucking choices.
Mhm. So, Waples, the reason why you don't die as high-level characters, other than doing stupid shit like jumping the gun and not waiting for the DM to finish his description or his monologue or whatever, is because there's just so many ways to get around death or to prevent death in 5e. There just are. So most parties are not just 4 player characters, first off. If most parties were only 4 player characters, maybe death would happen more often. And maybe it'd be more permanent. And maybe total party kills would actually happen more often.
Yeah, we were actually short a player. We're typically a 5-person team.
But here's the thing. If you have a cleric, you got Revivify by 10th level. You got Raise Dead. You'll eventually have yourself a heal spell. You'll have Resurrection. You get a druid in the party, you got Reincarnate. You've got so many ways to bring people back, even if people do actually die. Which, in my experience in 5e, in my experience in playing 5e for, 11 years now, I have actually seen people even need a Resurrection, Raise Dead, or let alone a Wish or True Res 3-4 times, maybe? Total? Revivifies? Sure. Happens all the time. But
also,
but that might as well just be just like an extra fucking cure light. It doesn't matter. That happens in the middle of combat.
And that's usually only if, A, you're not playing against book-statted creatures.
Yeah.
Because if you're just a party that knows what they're doing, playing against regular book stat monsters, you're just gonna usually, if you're playing by balanced, especially their published adventures, if you're playing the stats in the published adventure, your party's gonna wipe the floor with stuff the vast majority of the time. I would say that Jay's method of the party doing something dumb and making a bad decision that gets themselves in a situation that combat cannot solve is way more likely to cause a campaign end or a total party kill than any sort of combat encounter.
The only other time that I've ever come very, very close to a total party kill in 5th edition as moderate to high level characters was players. It wasn't even players making a bad decision. It was a random encounter that was rolled up that sent us into the plane of water. Yeah, we weren't quite ready for that one, but we managed to survive it.
And the other thing is that, especially at high levels, the other thing this is the other complaint that I have really about 5e is that everything is, especially combat, is just it's just sacks of hit points that who's gonna run out of hit points first, and the answer is always going to be the monsters because they don't have the staying power and the action economy of the PCs, and it's just you know it's just kind of a false sense of I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for here? It's a false sense of like of accomplishment of winning the fight because everyone already knows what the outcome's going to be before the 3 hours of fucking of a slugfest happens. Before you defeat the 350 hit point monster, because it's just a sack of hit points. Nothing really what that thing's going to do to you is going to really fucking matter because you're not going to win against the PCs by book stat monsters. Sure, you can soup up the monsters. Sure, you can beef them up real fucking hard. But like, if you're playing by the actual rules, you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. It's just not. It's not going to work.
That's baked
like,
into the design philosophy of
like,
5e. Is that
yeah, the design
combat
philosophy is really just the PCs win. It really
is
is.
supposed to be balanced so that you can win any given combat.
Yeah. So yeah, the design is part of it is that one of the options in any given encounter is that combat is always an option, which is something I've always hated about 5e. Combat should not always be an option. Like
sometimes the 10-eyed oracle shows up.
Sometimes the 10-eyed oracle shows up in your level too, and combat is not a fucking option. Combat is definitely not the option. But but like I think I was talking with Christian about this the other night. Like, if you have a 10th level party and you're throwing down against something real that's seemingly badass in 5e, and like you're playing with a bunch of novice players that don't really understand that the behind the DM screen about how actually not badass things are, and you're still trying to portray them as badass, but you really know exactly what they can do and what they cannot do. Let's just say, like, you end up landing a hold person on somebody, and then the cleric goes over there and freedom move into them, and they get them out of it. And then, okay, next that monster burned his action, and then the cleric burned his actions, but now the rest of the party still has all of their actions. Okay, well, those 3 actions go off before the monster can act again. That sucks. Okay, then the next round, the monster gets to act, and he, attacks 2 or 3 times. Okay, well, the fighter gets to attack 3 times, and then the rest of the party does their 3 actions. And then, the monster does his really cool, sweet ability, which is like a fear-based ability. That's fine. The party has Hero's Feast and is completely immune to fucking fear because they're 10th level. And it's just like, it is just rinse and repeat for literally everything that you would think is kind of a cool ability for monsters, which is why I say that anything about 10th level and above is just a sack of hit points versus a sack of hit points, which is really why I think the sweet spot of playing D&D is about level 3 to about level 8 or 9. Once you get Hero's Feast, once you get 5th level spells and above, fucking D&D is boring. It really is. It really is.
I think part of the issue you guys have versus especially me and the players that I have is the players you guys typically have at your table are veteran players who know the ins and outs of the game. They know that before they go fight the dragon, they're going to want Hero's Feast. Okay. Whereas someone who's encountering the dragon for the first time do not know that. And if the players try to research the dragon ahead of time, a la like, The Witcher, then maybe they might find someone who knows that, an old adventurer who's beaten a dragon, might give them the hint. It's like, oh, the thing will fear you. And they have to put it together that they need something to combat the fear. What might that be? And they can, come to conclusion of Heroes Feast. Having the having the resources to cast Revivify, True Resurrection, what have you, on a consistent basis is relatively hard unless the DM's giving out that material quite a lot. Um, I typically don't have an economy in my game, so my cleric friend who wants to have these things available to him, well, he's also the leader of the Zentarum sect of Waterdeep, so he has those things available to him ad nauseum. But my AL group out in Borderlands, they don't have any access to that at all. Even probably at level 10, there's not going to be diamonds anywhere out there for them to eventually get to cast or cast Revivify from. So I'm
That's a
wondering how.
restriction you're having to place. That's not how the game is designed.
No, because the game states that you have to have that material component. That material component is not found in the list of things that is part of the shops.
Well, of course it's not. It's a level 1 and 2 adventure, Wavels.
No. I'm saying in the player's handbook, there's a list of like, this is what you find at a general goods shop. So the DM has to supply those to the party at that point in time. It's my call whether or not to do that, but it's not something that's just going to be lying around and they're out in the middle of nowhere. So they might be able
Yeah,
to get
but
one.
if the party is fighting shit and is leveling up enough so they can conceivably cast Raise Dead, they're fighting shit that can drop, or have defeated things that would have, conceivably carried the valuable enough stuff to have diamonds and things like that.
Yeah,
So
most likely,
but
but I'm also random rolling the treasures for those things too.
sure.
So
But
like,
but yeah, I'm not in Waples. I'm not saying that like as I'm not saying that if I'm playing with my buddies that I've been playing with for 20, 30 years that we're going to every fight, like we're always going into a fight with a dragon, knowing that we're going to need a hero's feast or something like that. No, the first time we rolled into a fight with a dragon in our buddy Steve's game, we accidentally walked through a fucking portal into a fight with a green dragon that we had no fucking idea was there. Immediately fucking fell back from dragon fear because we had shit saves and we had no idea we were going into a fight. And we had never fought a dragon, so that was a thing. But then we had a paladin with us, and then went and hugged the paladin, and turned the fight. But it was one of those things. But
that
yeah,
sounded like it was relatively close. So in that, you could have very well TPK'd in that scenario. But I think
that one was
because your party knew, shit, we got to get near the paladin for the saves. I can't tell you how many times people have been like, "Oh shit, you moved away from my save. You don't have my save bonus now," and that's just oblivious to them. So like, having a tight group of people that know how to work with each other and how to get the best out of that situation.
People that play game stores, and this is just shitting on Adventures League. Randos that are at game stores, I feel for you, Waples. I played at a game store for 2 years when I was in college, and holy crap, the randos that you get, and just different people that show up, like it is like a rolling parade of stereotypes of nerds, and it is the weird people that can't get a game with other people because they don't have the types of friends that want them there. But then there's the types of people that clearly have friends that are just kind of showing up because they just wanted to try out a game, or they just want to try out the session, or they like the DM, or maybe it's the guy that shows up every week that really likes just playing the game and they like you as the DM, and they're kind of rolling their eyes at the randos that show up.
That's like half the people at Adventures League.
So yeah, it's like you have like half the people that are just the regulars. Then you have the half the people that are like, what are we doing? I have like a 40th level warlock that I rolled up that has the plus 27 great sword. It's like, no, you don't, dude. Come on.
So I think that it is still relatively easy to kill people in 5th edition. But when you have a well put together group of players, it becomes much harder. And you have to then start going outside the bounds of the book. Because you got to remember, the book is written for the common gamer. And when I play against the common gamers, they die all the time.
Yeah, but the goal you're not even really trying to kill people. You're the game master. It's really fucking easy to kill off players if you want to.
Yeah, yeah,
and
and
I'm
that's
not saying as a game master it's your job to kill off the players,
Yeah,
but it is
but the
your job
design, yeah,
to make it a challenge and make it fun for the players. If I, as a player or as the DM, am not having fun, I'm not doing the job, and I'm not. And as a player, I don't want to not have fun either. I don't want to be dicking around on my phone for 3 hours because all we're doing is scribbling off numbers because we're writing down how many numbers of HPs we're scribbling off because that's
yeah.
all we're doing.
And a 2.5 hour
boring.
a 2.5 hour fight is
No
not
one likes that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
Wait, no, you don't.
I love it. It's my favorite.
I like running random numbers on scrap paper.
It's so much fun.
All right. Well, let's move on. If there's any other topics, if not, then I guess we could talk about psionics.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
So
I actually did pull up my complete Psionics handbook because I was going to throw up on RPG auctions, and I'm going to pull up to Psychokinetic Sciences on page 38
Okay.
of
Yeah,
chapter
that's
4. You
that's
can go
great
ahead
stuff.
and join me to Psychokinetic Sciences.